There is a version of this story you already know. Work hard, get the degree, land the high-paying job, cross the six-figure line, and everything else falls into place. For decades, $100,000 a year was the number. Not just a salary but a signal. A declaration that you had separated yourself from the ordinary. That your family would be protected. That retirement was no longer a gamble. That you had, in every measurable sense, made it. So why are millions of people who earn exactly that number sitting in parking garages at 5 a.m., quietly running out of month before they run out of bills? The trap begins before the money even lands in your account. $100,000 sounds definitive, but what you actually receive each month is closer to $6,200. After federal income taxes, state taxes depending on where you live, Social Security and Medicare. That is the floor. That is before you opt into health insurance, which for a family of 3 through an employer plan now averages over $500 a month in premiums alone. Add a basic retirement contribution, because the alternative is working until you physically cannot, and your real monthly take-home lands at approximately $4,800. You have not yet paid for a single thing. You have not bought groceries, filled a gas tank, or turned on a light switch. $4,800 is what you have to work with, and what you are about to spend it on has fundamentally changed. In 1990, the median American home cost roughly 2.6 times the median household income. By 2024, that ratio had climbed past 6. In cities where six-figure jobs are actually concentrated, Austin, Denver, Seattle, Nashville, Boston, the ratio is closer to 8 or 9. What that means in real numbers. If you are renting a 2-bedroom apartment within a reasonable commute of your office in a major metro, you are spending somewhere between $1,900 and $2,600 a month. Not for luxury, for functional, for safe, for the kind of space you can raise a child in without apology. Call it $2,200. You now have $2,600 remaining. Between 2020 and 2024, grocery prices increased by over 20% in the United States. A modest weekly grocery run for a family of 3 real food, not organic or premium, now regularly exceeds $250. That alone is $1,000 a month. Add phone bills, internet service, gas, and the occasional prescription, and you are at or past that $1,500 mark, which means you now have approximately $0 left. Not for emergencies, not for savings, not for a child's dentist appointment. 0. When a 6-figure earner says they cannot get ahead, the standard cultural response is swift and dismissive. Cancel the subscriptions, skip the lattes, make coffee at home. That response is not wrong. It is simply aimed at the wrong target. The financial pressure this income tier experiences is not primarily a spending discipline problem. It is a participation tax problem. To hold a high-income professional role in 2026, there are non-optional costs built into the job itself. You must live in a city or suburb where the job exists, and those places have the highest cost of living in the country. You must maintain professional appearance standards, which means clothing, grooming, and upkeep that has no equivalent in a lower-cost lifestyle. You work 50 to 60 hours per week in many sectors, which means you are regularly paying for convenience. Prepared food, delivery, childcare during extended hours. Not because you are careless with money, but because your time has been fully purchased by your employer. You are not buying a lifestyle. You are paying the infrastructure costs of doing the job. The line between living well and living functionally has collapsed in the geography where these jobs exist. And the people caught inside that collapse are experiencing something that does not have a clean name in personal finance vocabulary. They are earning more than their parents ever did, and feeling less financially secure than their parents ever were. And there is a structural reason for that feeling that most financial content refuses to address directly. Between 1979 and 2024, productivity in the American economy, how much output workers generated per hour, increased by roughly 67%. Over that same period, inflation-adjusted wages for median workers grew by less than 15%. That gap is not an accident. It is the structural transfer of productivity gains away from workers and toward capital ownership, corporate profit margins, and asset appreciation. What this means for someone earning $100,000 today is that their salary, when adjusted for the actual cost of the goods and services they need to survive, housing, healthcare, education, childcare, carries meaningfully less purchasing power than a $70,000 salary carried for their parents in 1995. The number went up. The life it buys went in the opposite direction. This is why the six-figure earner who feels financially squeezed is not imagining things, is not mismanaging their money, and is not uniquely bad at adulting. They are experiencing the mathematical output of 4 decades of diverging lines on that graph. Understanding why this happened is important, but understanding what it means for your actual financial decisions right now, that is the part nobody wants to say out loud. There is a specific psychological complexity that makes this situation harder to navigate than ordinary financial hardship. When someone is visibly, measurably struggling, minimum wage, no savings, month-to-month survival, the problem is legible, they can name it, seek help for it, and most people around them will recognize it. The six-figure earner in the cost of living trap exists in a different territory. To the outside world, they have made it. Their income places them in the top 20% of American earners. They drive a reasonable car. They live in a decent neighborhood. Their children attend adequate schools. The visible markers of struggle are absent. But inside the household, the margin is razor thin. An unexpected medical bill, a car repair, a single month of missed work. Any of it lands with catastrophic weight. There is no buffer. There is just the appearance of one. Behavioral economists have a term for this: wealth mimicry. The condition of maintaining the surface indicators of financial stability while the actual foundation underneath is quietly fractured. It is exhausting in a way that is deeply difficult to articulate, because explaining it requires admitting to something most high earners have been culturally trained to believe they should be beyond. Which brings us to the only question that actually matters. What do you do about it? There are 3 things the math of this situation actually demands, not as moral advice, but as pure financial mechanics. First, geography is the single largest controllable variable in this equation. The housing anchor, that $2,200 per month, does not exist everywhere. In the same country, that same $100,000 salary, in a mid-sized city in the Southeast, Midwest, or Mountain West produces radically different outcomes. Remote work and geographic arbitrage are not lifestyle trends. For a growing number of six-figure earners, they are the only lever large enough to change the math. Second, income diversification matters more at this income level than at any point below it. The illusion of security that comes with a high salary creates a dangerous passivity, my job handles it assumption. A second income stream, even modest, can represent the difference between the margin existing and not existing at all. Third, the most dangerous thing a six-figure earner can do is absorb the cultural messaging that their income should automatically produce comfort, and when it does not, conclude that the failure is personal. The failure, in most cases, is structural. Recognizing that removes the shame. Removing the shame makes clear-eyed financial decisions possible, and clear-eyed decisions are the only ones that actually change outcomes. $100,000 is not the finish line anymore, but it is still a significant resource. If you stop treating it like it should be enough on its own, and start treating it like the foundation it actually is, the $100,000 salary is not a failure of ambition. It is not proof that the system is broken beyond repair. It is evidence that the system was designed for different conditions and has not been adjusted to match the world your paycheck now has to navigate. Most people respond to that gap by working harder, earning more, and hoping the pressure eventually equalizes. A smaller number respond by understanding exactly how their income is being structured, allocated, and, in ways most people do not fully track, systematically redirected before it ever reaches a decision that is actually theirs to make. That second story, how the modern paycheck is designed, what forces shape it before and after it lands in your account, and what most earners never notice until it is too late, is the one we examine next. The link is on screen right now.